the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, heartbreak in Houston, the Cougs falling to the Florida Gators in the NCAA basketball championship. Video of the team here, they're heading back into the locker room. So disappointing for them and, of course, all the fans. But what a season it has been. We thank you for staying up with us late on KH11 Plus. I'm Len Cannon.
Len, you know, I'm here live at now what is an empty Avenida Plaza. I was looking forward to a really late night.
Indeed.
I was looking forward from going to a mega watch party to essentially what would have been a victory party. I was just as stunned as each and every U of H fan who was out here in the audience. There must have been at least 1,500 people packing the plaza. I was ready to celebrate history. I know one of my colleagues, Maria Aguilera, was ready to celebrate as well. She joins us now just to talk about what we witnessed amongst the crowd. It definitely wasn't a roller coaster of emotions. I felt like this crowd felt confident throughout the night. It was a very different scenario from Saturday when nerves were high, anxiety, and here we are with the unbelievable.
Not only were they confident, we were confident.
Yes, you and I had a plan.
We had a plan. I had pom-poms. I was going to be cheering and shouting with the fans. And then you could tell as soon as the game was ending how quiet it got. Because it was so loud. We were all cheering because it was like we tied so many times and it was so close. And then it got to that last, like the final seconds, and then just silence. And everybody was just so sad and disappointed.
I know, it turned to us needing to console one another because of this loss that really we didn't see coming.
No.
And we heard Jason Bristol talk about it, Coach Sampson saying that the Cougars lost this by one play. So I can only imagine the heartbreak that we feel as fans who were out here in full force tonight, but how the Cougars, the team, is coping and going to deal with this loss.
Yeah, as a UH grad, obviously this is disappointing for me. This was still amazing to see them get to the championship because I wasn't around the first time. It was like more than 40 years ago.
Thank you for making me feel old, Maria. I was around.
You weren't. It was like way.
No, I wasn't. She is right. Somebody verify that.
That was like years before. So this was amazing to see, right? Because as a UH student, whenever you're on campus, you're like screaming and shouting for them and you're hoping for that national championship just for them to even make it, right? And so they've only made it twice before. So this was pretty amazing to see, but the people here, we were hoping obviously for a win. We didn't get it, but people are still super, super proud to be Cougs here in the city of Houston.
Absolutely, and that was the sentiment that so many students shared with us as they were leaving tonight. It wasn't really so much about them holding their heads down. They were holding their heads high and saying just how proud they were still of the Cougars. And what I was so excited about, I felt like this was one of those moments that united the community. Yeah. You know, I'm wearing Cougs today, but this is a little bit of sacrilege because I'm a Bearcat at heart. However, I recognize just how special this was for not just the University of Houston, but for the city of Houston and so many of my fellow friends, neighbors, family who were Cougs too. So I was just looking forward to being able to celebrate that for all of Cougar Nation and for the greater Cougar family, the city of Houston. But again, you keep holding your head high. Other Cougars fans will keep holding their heads high. You'll try. I know tomorrow will be tough. There's still a lot of sting there, and it's going to take a while to get over it. But it's going to be hardest for sure for the men's U of H basketball team, although they should be proud. Jason Bristol at the Alamo Dome tonight, witnessing a massive turn of events. Jason?
Without a doubt, Mia. And I think what is so devastating, crushing, all of those words for this U of H basketball team is they were not able to get a shot off in those final seconds. The numbers tell the story. I mean, 4 turnovers in the last 2 minutes and 5 seconds, 0 points in the last 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And it's so uncharacteristic of Houston given how well they played in late game situations. The video is difficult to watch of the Cougs heading to the tunnel. Juwan Roberts' his shirt off. Milos Uzan, the point guard, the transfer, hands on his head in disbelief. The players covering their heads with towels and jerseys. And Emmanuel Sharp, who has been a money player, the most outstanding player in the Midwest Regional, involved in that final play, a blank expression on his face. Emmanuel, of course, wears number 21. It was as expected in that tunnel as the KHO 11 News team was there to see the Cougs' reaction as they head to the locker room one final time. And what's also devastating to these players is there's no more team. They always talk about how it's one more day to spend with their brothers and their coach and their family. And now it's over. And it's like that for 67 of the 68 teams that start this tournament. That is the reality of this event. Only one team goes home happy. But this was just crushing for the Cougs because they could not get a shot off in those final seconds. And really, that sequence reveals a larger story, and that is the offense was not in sync for most of the game, and especially the second half. Granted, they were up by 12 at one point, but they were not hitting their threes. They were 2 of 14 in the first half, 4 of 11 for the second half, 6 of 25, 24% for the game. You're talking about a team that was one of the best in all of college basketball at knocking down three-point shots. Second chance points, so huge in the win over Duke. They lost that battle, 11-10 in this game. And although Houston won the turnover battle, the turnovers that mattered most down the stretch advantaged Florida. So we have Zach Tawatari right now in the Cougars locker room. And as you can imagine, players are in tears and they are still processing all of this. But that is one of the situations that comes a byproduct of this tournament, that only one team goes home happy. Kelvin Sampson was meeting with the media in the news conference room, said that essentially this game came down to one play. The Cougars could not get what they needed at the end of the game. And then you had players like Juwan Roberts and LJ Cryer having to answer questions about what it's like to play for Houston, play for Kelvin Sampson. What is your legacy? The questions that sadly are directed at a losing team. We heard from JoJo Tugler during KHO 11 News at 10 following the game. JoJo kept saying over and over, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. Could not offer much other than this team fell 2 points short. When you look at the box score, I have it here. LJ Cryer, 19 points, 4 of 11 for 3, 6 of 18 from the floor, and he was the only player in double figures. LJ Cryer, the only player, and Houston needed secondary scoring, and they did not get it. One of many issues for the Cougars in this game. And as a result, the final score is what it is, and Florida has won its third national championship. That is the story from outside the Alamo Dome at this point. Jason Bristol, KHOU 11 News, back to you.
Oh, a tough reality for the Cougars, and really your heart just hurts for them. I was just saying to my colleagues here behind the scenes, you know, it would be tough to answer those questions in the post news presser. I mean, really to face what happened, that loss, that sad and really difficult loss. Difficult for us here at Houston and about the 1,500 people who packed Avenida Plaza, but just as difficult for those who traveled to San Antonio to be there in the same city and also in the Alamo Dome tonight. Orko Manna joins us live from outside the Alamo Dome. Orko, I know fans there in SA are taking it just as hard.
Mia, that is absolutely correct. It's just devastating for those Cougs fans who tell us they're heartbroken by this loss. You mentioned people driving from Houston here to San Antonio, but also Cougs and alums who graduated years ago who live all over the country flew out for this weekend, for this championship game. We also spoke to a couple gentlemen earlier who traveled here just today, just for this game. And it is heartbreaking for them. And out here outside Avenida Plaza right now, outside of the Alamo Dome here right now, you can hear a pin drop. It is absolutely quiet. Still, all the fans have left. There's only staff members out here picking up trash and picking up things like this that we are seeing out here, pom-poms that Cougs fans have brought here with them to try to cheer on the team, and unfortunately did not get away with the win tonight. This is video of Cougs fans leaving the Alamo Dome right after that game ended. You can see just swarms of people leaving the stadium. Cougs fans disappointed, but still hopeful for the future, still proud of this team. We spoke to several of them about what this season meant to them, what tonight meant to them, what this team means to them. Take a listen.
We feel like we should have won it. We were there. We didn't do what we did last night, but go Cougs. We got here. We're glad we made it this far.
Yeah, talk to me about how are you feeling right now with this loss, but knowing that we made it this far?
Honestly, they played a heck of a ball game. In the last 3 minutes of the game, we didn't score any points, get on the board. Defense was great. We both executed well. Just to be here is a wonderful feeling.
How are you feeling?
Great. This is what you come to see, man. You don't want to see no blowout. You want to see a good game, and that's what we saw tonight.
Do you guys have a message to the team and Coach Sampson tonight?
Nah, man, you played good. You came in here and did what you're supposed to do, man.
You deserve it. I'm about to start crying right now. But it's okay because you know what? They made it to the championship round, and that's all that matters. And go Cougs! Go! We'll be back next year.
I'm sorry.
Let them ask
their questions.
Do you guys have a message to the team and to Coach Sampson tonight?
Y'all did great, and we love you. Y'all did great, and we love you. That's all.
Really hard, and y'all should be really proud of yourself.
It was a great game. Y'all kicked freaking butt, and y'all made us proud.
You really did.
Great team, great season. Keep it up. We'll see you next year. Let's go, Cougs!
Thank you, guys. Yeah, just that amount of love for the team, for Coach Sampson. You could just feel that in those interviews and the pride they felt. Just the fact that the team made it to the championship game. Unfortunately, as we've been talking about, they did not come away with the win, but just making it to this point, creating this atmosphere and this spirit among the Cougs Nation, among Cougs fans here in San Antonio, back in Houston, really all over the country. It's that kind of spirit that these fans are going to take with them as they leave San Antonio, as they head home, as they look forward already to next season and hoping for more victories in the future and hopefully one day that big championship title. Reporting live outside the Alamo Dome here in San Antonio, I'm Orko Manna. We'll send it back to you.
Orko, I had family and friends across the country rooting for Houston tonight. Almost made it. Thank you, sir. Of course, few more devastated about this loss than U of H students, especially on campus. But what a run it's been. Stephen, going on campus tonight. Stephen, you spoke with a lot of folks. I'm sure a range of emotions there.
Len, that's right. So many emotions, but really just a lot of excitement throughout the night just because of how far this team came. There were so many students gathered here on campus, right here inside the Student Center, watching this game. You could really feel the energy. Just take a look at this video from earlier and you will get a better idea of what I'm talking about. There were hundreds of people cheering and shouting every single time the Cougs made a point tonight. booing for the other team. I mean, the students tell me that the excitement was just building on campus for weeks and weeks, and they really thought the Cougs would pull out this win tonight. So even though this was not the outcome that really anyone here in Houston wanted, there's still some, reason to be proud for this team, right? Students tell me they're just so happy that their team made it this far in the Final Four for the first time in a long time. Take a listen to how some of these students are coping with this loss.
I'm still very happy about how far we get, and don't get me wrong, I'm so happy we beat Duke. I could walk away knowing we beat Duke. Okay, I see so on social media, all the Duke fans crying, and that just brings a tear to my eye.
That's what matters. A happy tear.
A happy tear. Yeah, I won $20 off my manager at work from it too. It was a fire day for us, but today it was just, I thought we had it too because we were so far ahead, but we just started selling so hard.
So you can hear it there. Some of these students are coping with humor, and they're really proud of the wins that the Cougs did get earlier in the season, making it up until this point. So even though this was not the year, a lot of these students I spoke to right here said next year could be, and that's what they want. For now, we are live on the UH campus. Stephen Gowen, KHOU 11 News.
Guys, I'm here on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. This is my hometown. This is where many a river parade takes place. For those of you who don't know what's going on when I say river parade, that's where a championship winning team will come down the famous Riverwalk in boats. I know it's hard to hear me talking about this because it's orange and blue behind me and not red and white like we had so hoped for, but to get to your first championship game in more than 40 years. I know people always say online there's no moral victories in sports, but I mean, how can you be anything but proud of the Houston Cougars? This has been a tough season, and when I think back to all of the games that they've gone through, you think of all the close contests that they pulled out, they were able to win to get to this point. I'm just so blown away by the incredible support that people were displaying here in San Antonio. I was at the team hotel earlier today. We were live streaming the walk from the hotel to the buses and just the excitement from so many incredible people. Members of the famous Phi Slamma Jamma team were here in support. We of course saw so much love for the Houston Cougars, even though they're not going to be the team coming down this river tonight. I know it's orange and blue. I know it's tough to see. I think there's something to be said about the fact that we made it to this point. We made it to San Antonio. This is a place where championships are heralded. This is a place where championships, they strike a nerve here. You know why? Because I remember a very tough loss. My senior year of high school, not to age anyone out there, but my senior year of high school going into my freshman year of college, I watched my NBA team, the San Antonio Spurs, lose in a heartbreaking fashion. And you know what they did the next year? They came back and they beat that very same team to win the championship. And they didn't just beat them, they dominated them. I know there's so much devastation tonight about the fact that we are not going to be the ones right here. We're hearing them saying that Florida's getting on the boats. I know it's tough, but keep that in mind, that there is a next year, there's a new tournament. Jason, I know in the Alamo Dome, outside the Alamo Dome, the mood for us, it's somber. But again, you have to just think about the incredible coaching, the heart, the determination from the players too, that got us to this point. So what do you see, what do you hear from inside or outside the Alamo Dome?
Well, it is a tough scene, no doubt. Unfortunately, college basketball is a little different than professional basketball. Most of your players on this Houston team, at least your leaders, are leaving. Juwan Roberts, LJ Cryer, they are done. And obviously now with college basketball, the transfer portal, Houston typically doesn't lose players. But the team you have, this one right here, I truly believe Kelvin Sampson, the head coach, believed this team was built to contend for a national championship, and it did that. It did that. Next year, you were coming in with arguably the nation's 1 or 2 or 3 best recruiting class in the country, but it's hard to win with freshmen. Just ask Duke. And Duke had possibly one of the greatest freshmen that this game has seen in the past 15, 20 years. Now, when we're looking at what was being said in the locker room, let's now hear from Juwan Roberts, Houston forward Juwan Roberts. Here's what he had to say about this crushing defeat.
It was a play for LJ, and if that didn't work, it was supposed to be a elevator screen for Emmanuel. And I felt like he had a good look, just didn't get the shot off. I think that's the biggest thing, just didn't get the shot off. But I think we executed pretty good, and it just didn't go the way we wanted to.
So that is Juwan Roberts, who played 35 minutes, almost 36 minutes, scored 8 points, 3 of 13 from the floor. LJ Cryer leading away with 19. Juwan alluded to LJ in that last piece of post-game interview that we just heard. LJ Cryer, he was the offense. He was the offense for Houston. And here's what LJ Cryer had to say from the Houston locker room.
I mean, he told us that it should hurt. I mean, it does hurt, but don't look back at this season and only look at this, because we accomplished so much together. We've been through so much together, and there's a lot of good moments that we had in this season. So this game right here doesn't define us. Having a trophy doesn't define us. So, I mean, yeah, that's really his message.
What do you think about?
Now, LJ Cryer earlier, about 3 or 4 days ago here in San Antonio, had mentioned that winning would be almost like the cherry on top. Certainly putting it in perspective there, this is the greatest run of Cougar basketball we have seen when you look at the number of wins each season. Phi Slamma Jamma was incredible as well, but I think a lot of people might consider right now the greatest run of Houston basketball, even though Houston still does not have that NCAA championship. LJ Cryer, again, was really good in this game. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 4 of 11 from 3, 6 of 18 shooting the basketball. Obviously, LJ Cryer is usually a little bit better when it comes to efficiency, but he was the offense. And this Florida defense, give Florida credit. Now, also in the locker room, we're catching up with Terrence Arsenault from Beaumont. Terrence does a very good job of putting things in context and perspective when we speak to him leading up to these games. Here's what Terrence Arsenault had to say about this loss.
Disappointed, not just, sad. I'm lost for words. When a game like that close, I feel like we had control of it the whole game and we just let it go.
So there is Terrence Arsenault as he played just 8 minutes, no points. Terrence Arsenault has been a Swiss Army knife for this group and did not get a lot of minutes tonight, which was interesting given his length and the foul trouble that the front court was in. Part of that foul trouble, unfortunately, was JoJo Tugler, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. JoJo Tugler, distraught like many of these Houston players. Zach Tawatari speaking with JoJo Tugler moments ago, and here is what JoJo had to say.
What do you think went wrong late?
The shots we was getting, the shots they was getting, certain shots we was taking and getting. I don't know. Man, I just got that out of my chest. Gotta get that money, man. I'm sorry, y'all. My head spinning. Man, bro. He was right there. He's right there. It's right there. 2 points. Man.
2 points. 2 points. Here with Zach Tawatari now, who has just left the Houston locker room, obviously, joining us. And we know what these scenes are like. And I can imagine this one, just based on the snippets of video that we have shown, devastating, tears, you name it. I imagine it was all in there in plain sight for all of the reporters to see.
Yeah, a losing locker room, always tough, but on the night you lose the national championship, it's absolutely brutal for these guys.
And the way they lost.
They had
exactly. That lead. They had a double-digit lead. They led for 30 minutes.
And in so many ways, this game playing out almost the exact way the Duke game played out, but in their favor at that time. And now feeling the heartbreak of what transpired here tonight. Obviously, they're proud. They're proud of the season that they had, and that was the message from Kelvin Sampson. He said to reporters in the hallway, this team should be proud. He also said, I thought both of these teams played hard. I don't know that either one played great. And that was, I thought, a very good way to describe what happened tonight on the court.
But when you look at the final score, 65-63, that was the pace. That's where that's the range of scoring that Houston likes to operate within. So this game clearly, not just with our eyeballs, but also the numbers, this is the type of game Houston, I think, wanted, and they just could not close the deal, which is so uncharacteristic for this group, the way they've played in late game situations. On the flip side of that, covering Houston basketball over the years, this team, unfortunately, does go through scoring droughts.
They do.
And we saw one during the second half. They just could not hit buckets. And unfortunately, it caught up to them in this game. Did you happen to hear what Kelvin said about the final play, what Houston was hoping to accomplish, and what he feels fell through for the Cougs?
We heard from both Juwan and Kelvin talking about that final play. Juwan saying it was actually drawn up for LJ. LJ was supposed to be who the ball ended up going to take that final shot.
Which is not surprising to anybody.
Not surprising at all. That's exactly whose hands you want the ball to be in. Kelvin saying that he guesses that Emmanuel thought he had a look on that last play. I can tell you Emmanuel did not talk in the locker room. We saw him in the back, open the door very briefly, towel over his head. Obviously, he was devastated. He was devastated by what happened. Him and Javier Francis both devastated by what happened. I asked LJ, what was Kelvin's message to you after the game? And I think we heard it in the post-game sound, but they did say that Kelvin very much wanted them to be proud of where they got to. Obviously, you would expect the head coach to say that, but Juwan saying, he felt that Kelvin really wanted them to win it for them, for the players. And they so badly wanted to win it for him, Jason.
Yeah.
They did.
It's the real one item that is not on his resume.
Yeah.
The one box that he has not checked off thus far in one incredible future Hall of Fame career. I wanted to pull up the final play here just so we could look at it to see exactly how much time was on the clock when Emmanuel got that ball. He was way out there.
Way out there.
That would have been some kind of shot, which we have seen him hit from that distance.
We've seen him hit it. Kelvin did say, I think Emmanuel probably wishes he had a couple of those looks back. He also said that he focused with Emmanuel on the great defense that he played on Clayton Jr. Interestingly, Jason, Kelvin said that in the first half, their goal was to not allow Clayton Jr. to go left. And that's why they actually were able to hold him to so few points, because they didn't allow him to go left. But it was Emmanuel's defense that really kept him off the board.
So Emmanuel, I'm looking here, got the ball with about 5 seconds left. That is not a lot of time to operate.
It's not. At that
they
point,
started at 6.1. He's got the ball around 5. There really isn't a lot of options with that amount of time on the clock.
The person that's touching the ball is taking the shot in that time frame. You
Has
know
to
what
be.
I'm saying? With 5 seconds left, you have to pretty much be the one taking the shot.
Yeah, so LJ had the ball originally.
Right.
And he gets doubled immediately.
Which is why he gives it,
had to give it
to Emmanuel.
Well, he didn't get doubled. He was on single coverage there, I should say, and then helped.
But he had help coming.
But Emmanuel was open, but then Clayton Jr.
Right.
comes out of nowhere,
Right.
and the rest is history. So that is what the Cougs were saying in the locker room. While that is going on, Kelvin Sampson, Juwan Roberts, LJ Cryer are speaking at the podium, the post-game news conference. Let's now hear what they were saying, answering questions from the media in the interview room.
We're joined by Houston's head coach Kelvin Sampson, student athletes Juwan Roberts and LJ Cryer. We'll ask Coach to begin with a statement, then we'll take questions first for the student athletes. Coach.
Yeah, I told our guys after the game to be disappointed you lost, but do not be disappointed in your effort. Defending Florida is difficult. They got a really, really good team. Coach Golden runs great schemes over there, but we guarded them. We held that team to 65 points. I thought if we held Duke to under 70, we'd have a good chance to win. And I felt like if we held Florida under 70, we'd have a good chance to win. Saturday, we found a way to win. Tonight, maybe not so much. But two great teams, two tough teams. We lost by 2 points. They made one more play than we did tonight.
LJ Cryer and Juwan Roberts have been kind enough to join us all week in the media room. Let's raise our hand if we have a question for them. We'll start up front.
Juwan, 6 years with Coach Sampson. What has he meant to your life? What has Houston meant to your life? And how do you are you looking at all toward the future with leaving this program as a player?
Coach Sampson has been everything to me, from Coach Sampson down to grandkids. Everybody played a part in me being here for 6 years, and I wanted it so bad for him, so bad, and it hurts because I can't do it next year. I can't put myself in position to do it next year. This will be my last time wearing my jersey, and I feel terrible. But I told the younger guys, to the returners, to remember this feeling. So when you in this moment again, or you're in this situation again, you'll be on top. And I feel like everything you go through in life is a lesson. And I'm glad I could play with LJ. I'm glad I played with all those guys. But Coach Sampson, the role that he played in my life, I can't even put into words.
Continuing with questions for Juwan and LJ, we'll take one in the back of the room, left of the aisle, mid-major.
Isaac Bourne, Mid-Major Madness. For both LJ and Juwan, you guys leading this team this season, can you talk about what it's been like with this group of guys and what it means to be able to still go out with them?
The journey's been great. I had a lot of ups and downs, fought through a lot of adversity, and we all stayed together. We all believed in each other, and we just came up short. And there's probably a lot of stuff that we wish we could do, but I'm proud of these guys. But I'm mostly sad that I can't do with them again. That's the worst part. I'm not gonna be teammates with Emmanuel again. LJ, Malik, Jay. This is by far, out of my 6 years, the best team I've been on.
Yeah, I'm just proud of the way we fought all season. We went through some adversity early, and people tried to kind of write us off a little bit, not expecting us to get to this point. But, we kept our head down and kept grinding all season, and we flipped it around. Went 19-1 Big 12 tournament champs, and made it all the way to the last game. So, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but, we just got to hold our heads high because we did accomplish a lot. So, yeah.
In the center of the room, reach for that microphone on your left. Thank you.
Greg Rajan, Houston Chronicle. LJ, you made 2 decisions. You made one to transfer to Houston. You made one last summer to run it back. What was the experience like for you playing in your hometown, helping take this program to another level in a new conference?
Man, this experience it's hard to describe it. I remember before I got to Houston, I had 3 foot surgeries before I got here, and after those surgeries, I was kind of questioning myself if I was going to ever be the player I once was before. Never. My confidence was kind of shook. I wasn't confident in my movement. But coming to Houston, the coaches, they believed in me. Coach Q, I used to have talks with him every single day in his office, telling him these things like, he'll be like, man, go out there and be free. But I used to tell him I was scared because of my surgeries and stuff like that. But they believed in me, told me to trust God, and, I've accomplished a lot because I listened to him and put my faith in God. So it's been a blessing being here. This has been the best year of my life so far. I'm just proud to be a Cougar, man.
If you have a question for LJ or Juwan, please raise your hand. Let's get the gentleman a microphone all the way up front and to the right.
Antonio Castillo, Alamo City Hoops.
Hand up.
Antonio Castillo, Alamo City Hoops. Juwan, I know you just mentioned the last 6 years, but just obviously the pain is tremendous right now. But we've followed you the last 8 or 9 years, and people may not know just up the road, right here at the Shoemaker High School, and again, just talk about the trip that it's been. These last 8, 9 years, and just reflect. Obviously, like you're talking about the positive vibes. And did you ever think you would end it this way at a pinnacle, right, and playing for a national championship?
One, I thank the coaches for, coming to one of my AU games, looking at me and giving me opportunity to play at University of Houston. That's step one for giving me the opportunity. And they invested so much in me, development-wise. Redshirted my first year, and 6 years later, who knows that I would have been playing, for a national championship. When I first got here, I wasn't a nobody scouting report, and I worked my butt off, and they continued to help me along their way. And 6 years later, I had a different role, and I feel like the coaches had a lot of trust in me to lead this team. And these past 6 years have been the best years of my life, And like I said, the worst part about it is I can't do it again. But I'll always be a Cougar. No matter how you try to shape it, I'm always going to be a Cougar, and this is going to always be my home. So 10 to 15, 20 years from now, I'm always look back on this game and remember the team, and remember the coaches that put me in position to be the best I can be. So I give all the credit, to my teammates and my coaches for, giving me the opportunity.
We want to thank Juwan and thank LJ for joining us here tonight and all week. They're going to head back to the locker room. The Houston locker room is open till 11:35. Our first question for Coach Sampson is up front to the right. Dennis.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Kelvin, just what's going through your mind right now? Big picture.
Yeah, I'm just going through those last 2 possessions more than anything else. It's incomprehensible in that situation. We couldn't get a shot. Got to get a shot. We're down 2, and obviously we didn't need a 3. But with Emmanuel, we were struggling to score the entire second half. We got good looks, but Florida was doing a good job running us off the line and forcing us to score it. But we just didn't do a very good job of finishing some shots. Guys that's been in the paint, scoring all year. LJ's developed a really good runner, floater. I didn't go very much tonight. Milos, but give Florida credit too. I'm not going to sit up here and poor mouth and pity mouth us. We held that team to 65 points. Clayton and Martin combined to go 5 for 20. If you'd have told me we'd hold those two guys to 5 for 20, and we had a good plan. We just didn't score it well enough to win. We scored it well enough to be in a position to win. But it comes down to those at the end. You got to get a shot. That's got to do better than that.
Coach, next one's up front to the left, Aaron.
Aaron Beard with the AP. Kelvin, what were you hoping to get out of that last play?
Yeah, we have a set where it's a stagger gate, and we thought if we could get Emmanuel to shot fake and get downhill, I have to look back at the film, and I don't know if the ball slipped out of his hands or Clayton had his back. Yeah, they probably should have shot faked that. That's both those guys. Richard and Martin, both really good defensively. Clayton made a great play on that, but that's why you got to shot fake and get in the paint. Two's fine. Jaywan has been awesome all year. Tonight was not his night. Florida was really physical with the way they were chucking and bumping when he was going, and he had a lot of balls that just fell right off the rim, seems like. At the end of the day, they scored 65, we scored 63. They struggled scoring on us, and we struggled scoring on them. That's what, when it gets down to the two best teams left, it's not going to be easy for either team.
Third row on the left.
Hey, Coach. Evan Miyakawa from evanmia.com. Tonight, you guys only had 5 assists. That's the fewest you've had in a game since 2020. Was there anything that Florida was doing you think that took away?
What's your first name?
Evan Miyakawa.
Well, let me explain how an assist works, Evan. I'm not sure, but when you throw the ball to somebody and they score, that's an assist, right? Well, we threw the ball a lot to Jaywan in the post, and he missed some shots that he normally makes. So those were possible potential assists that we had a lot. We just didn't make a lot of shots. I don't know if it's certainly Florida. Let's give them credit for being a good defensive team. But we threw the ball and passed the ball enough to get more assists. We just didn't make enough shots. That's what I would say right off the bat. But you're the stat guy, right?
On the right side, Coach, just to the left of the aisle.
Kirk Bowles from the Houston Chronicle. Kelvin, as good as your guards are and as many turnovers as you guys have forced all year long, how rare is it that the turnover bug kind of bit you the last 4 minutes?
Yeah, the last 4 minutes. Our defense was so good, the first half. And, of course, a big part of our defensive plan was Clayton, because he's elite. He really is. We missed an assignment when he came off. If we wanted him to not, our goal was to not give him a a full court layup. He gets that a lot watching the SEC games. So we took that away, and we didn't want him to get a shot going to his left. If he was going to shoot a three, we wanted it going right. And we did an awesome job on that except for one. He made a big one late. I don't remember how much time it was, but I'm proud of our guys for how they guarded tonight. That was a tough ball game. Two tough teams. Florida's tough. Martin's a tough defender. He gave LJ some problems. The big kid, Condon at 6'11", and Chinyelu. Those guys are all big, strong, physical guys, just like our guys are. We got an offensive rebound, chance to get a kick-out three, and JoJo did the one thing that we really emphasized: don't bring the ball down. Turned into a turnover. Probably put them on the line a little too much, and they made their free throws. But the way we looked tonight, we've won a lot of games like that. We just, some nights we struggle offensively, but we usually find ways to win. Tonight we didn't.
Second row center, likely the last question.
Kelvin, to what degree did the way that they were breaking out on you, which is something that you rarely ever face, Adi Joseph, CBS, the way that they were breaking out on you early in the game to get some long passes to the big men,
yeah,
did that surprise you? Was that something that you were...
Well, it surprised me that we didn't do a better job guarding it. But it didn't surprise me that they did it. They're good at that. But, we settled in. That was a couple, they'd score 2 or 3 early, I think, and I'm not sure they got another one after that. Our guys figured that out. I think by the time we got to the first TV timeout, we kind of sometimes guys try to guard their man in transition, and you have to guard the guy that has the deepest position. But again, we're disappointed we lost. We thought this was a game that if we played well, we could win. And we did play well. We just didn't play very good the last 3 minutes, and that's been a strength of ours all year long, was winning close games. Tonight we didn't. But give credit to Coach Golden and Florida. They're a very worthy champion.
I want to thank Coach Sampson for joining us tonight and all week. And congrats on the run to the title game.
Houston is a tough team. Florida is a tough team. Kelvin Sampson analyzing what happened, and I think if you read between the lines, this game played out exactly how this group wanted it to. The numbers in many ways favored Houston, but it's just head-scratching that they could not do what they have done most of this season, and that is execute late in the game and close out games. And something, again, that Houston has done for nearly 40 games, just couldn't get it done in this one.
It's been one of their biggest strengths all season, and tonight it turned into their weakness, and I think Kelvin Sampson just really summed it up in the hallway after the game. He was asked about the nerves, about playing in the national championship, and he said sometimes playing in the national championship, it's a different animal.
It is a different animal, and unfortunately, the last 2 minutes of this game, the last 2 plays of this game, that will unfortunately, they won't forget that.
Yeah.
They won't forget it.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to say, as we have been traveling with the Cougs and covering this team all season, to the players and the coaches and the athletic communication staff, thank you. Thank you for your professionalism, your openness, their willingness to answer all of our questions, their willingness to reveal themselves, their strategies. The players, the coaches, the staff, one day they may go back and watch all of this, and how they handled themselves will not go and does not go unnoticed. So thank you to the players, coaches, and staff for allowing us to do our job and making it very easy. So that is the story here from the Alamo Dome. For Zach Tawatari, Jason Bristol, KHO 11 News. Len, let's send it back to you.
Jason, Zach, thank you for incredible work on this incredible March Madness run with the Cougs. This team, of course, wanted to win this badly for Coach Sampson. They're very close, and they came close to doing that. We thank you for watching our streaming coverage tonight. Stream us anytime on KH11 Plus. Just download on your TV, watch for free. We are still Cougar proud. Good night, everyone.